for it. Even though I love 5-second rules, are my all-time favorites. My kids now, they drop candy on the floor, and I look at them, and they're like, okay. Next question.
Gotta say first, thank you for making your small models in movies. I have to say, I've always enjoyed watching small models in movies for miniatures because it just looks a lot more realistic to me. CGI, no matter how good it gets, just does not get that realistic grit you get from actual photons hitting an actual object. And second, for the Maltese Falcon, as a comic book reference, maybe you want to put a stamp saying, "Made in the Savage Land," on the bottom. And last, I was wondering, do you guys plan on ever doing any episodes about debunking crackpots' ideas, maybe like the grizzly suit or heating yourself with microwaves? Like, not to say Tesla was a crackpot, but he was a little bit, woohoo.
Yeah.
But
I was at the EG conference, and somebody came up to me and said, are you familiar with the, actually, he didn't sound crazy when he walked up. He said, are you familiar with the work of Nicola Tesla? And this phrase flashed through my brain, and I almost said, do you mean Nicola Tesla, the genius that invented AC power, or Nicola Tesla, the total nut job? Because there are two, and there's two kinds of people who love Tesla that are going to come up and talk to you, and the total nut jobs. Yeah, the problem with the crackpot ideas is often it's so difficult. It's very close to Bigfoot in crop circles. It's very close to, you're going to end up trying to prove a negative, which is just bad territory to be in scientifically. And we learned this when we started doing free energy. We put our researchers on over unity and came up with a research file that was like 2 feet thick inside of about 3 weeks. And we had no idea where to even begin. And then our producer came up with the great idea of, look, all we can do is start with what people claim is going to work. And we bought kits. We bought kits that people said were going to work, and then we built those. And while I'm not extremely satisfied with what we did on free energy, that's about as close as you can get to that kind of stuff to try and show somebody's guaranteeing you a positive. You can show that it doesn't work because you've done the best faith effort to make it work. With the crackpot stuff, it gets a lot more difficult.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure. And by the way, with the CG versus models, while I totally agree, do remember that there's a whole bunch of people out there who spent, 25 years building models, and you're seeing the results of all their work, whereas the whole CG industry isn't 25 years old yet. And I really do see, because I have a lot of friends at Industrial Light and Magic that moved from models into building virtual models, that the quality of model making that's coming out in the virtual world is increasing rapidly as people get past the learning curve. And I mean, of course, we all know that the rubber, where the rubber is going to meet the road in the next 10 years, both in CG and in rapid prototyping, is in the interface, is in people's ability to really feel like they're interfacing with the virtual object. And when that gets solved, I think it's actually going to get a lot better.
Hi. First about your bronze Falcon. I know it's pretty horrible, but I'd be willing to take it away from you so you don't have to look at it. And then also, I'm an industrial design student, do a lot of model making, everything by hand essentially. But I have a lot of friends who are interested in making that transition from industrial design into special effects, and wondering how you suggest getting started in that.
Yeah, I got into special effects in, Jamie Heineman, actually, on MythBusters, hired me in 2004 to work in commercials. And I worked for him and for a couple toy companies for about 5 years. And I got into Industrial Light and Magic just at the tail end of episode 1. And I have to say, at this point, it's an era whose time has almost passed. It's a real sad thing, but model making, a lot of my friends at, you know that, you might not know, Industrial Light and Magic shut down their model shop last year. They sold it to one of the old ILM employees who used to run the model shop, Mark Anderson, and now it's called Kerner Optical. It's a whole bunch of my friends. They have a sweetheart deal with ILM. They've got some great office space. They bought all the tools. They bought the laser cutters and all of that. But it's much more catch-as-catch-can work. And that original place, ILM, which they would give us so much money to build the models and so much time. I had friends that went from ILM down to LA. And in LA, they'd say, you got 3 weeks to build this model. And they'd work for it. And after 2 weeks, the guys would, oh, that's good enough. We'll shoot that. And they wouldn't get a chance to finish it. Because the quality, they didn't want that amount of quality. And so that